MasterMind Minutes. My name is Gary Occhiogrosso. I'm managing partner at Franchise Growth Solutions and also the publisher of Franchise Money Maker magazine, which is franchisemoneymaker.com, which is chock full of information about franchising, entrepreneurship, business ownership. For those of you who are new to our program, as I always say, MasterMind Minutes is a very simple concept. We have one guest. We typically have one question or one topic. We get one expert answer, and we do it in minutes, not hours. We realize that may be not enough time to really grasp what we're talking about. So at the end of the program, we'll make sure that we give you the contact information for our guest. And as you know, you can always find it below the podcast. You will see a link. And today, my guest is Temoc Morfin, who is the founder and CEO of Cilantro Taco Grill, which is a taco chain in Chicago that just recently began to franchise with the support of the Grammy Award-winning artist Pitbull. For those of you who know him, Pitbull is a pretty well-known guy, and he is involved in this, and Temoc will tell us how in just a couple of minutes. He was born in Mexico, came to the U.S. When he was a child. Proudly is the first person in his family to go to college, which is a great achievement. After a brief time pursuing politics, which we'll have to talk about, not on this program, but I want to know about that, he realized that his true passion really was to own a business, and with a specific mission to share the true flavors of his home country, he opened up the Cilantro Taco Grill. That was back, his first location was back in 2013. And about 7 months later, he opened a second location with his first immediate goal of opening up 11, one for each of his siblings. So you come from a big family, I guess. That's good. Now with 15 locations, obviously he's made that goal a reality, and his additional mission is to empower other Hispanics into business ownership, preferably as franchisees of Cilantro Taco Grill. Recently, the brand has partnered up with some new investment folks, and that's what's fueling the franchise growth. So with all of that said and read, let me just say, Temoc, welcome to the program. Very excited to have you here. I used to be in the fresh Mexican restaurant business myself. We'll talk about that later. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and about Cilantro Taco Grill, and then we'll get into the question.
Thank you very much, Gary. And it is quite an honor. And I'd like to personally thank you for the opportunity for this interview in your great program, MasterMind Minutes. I'm really honored to be here with you. So basically, just a little bit about me and about my family. We are originally from the state of Jalisco in Mexico. Guadalajara, big city, just like Chicago, as big as Chicago. One day, my dad decided we were going to go to the United States of America. And right overnight, we started our journey, landed here in Chicago, and been here for close to 40 years now. True American dream. My dad came here, worked very hard, worked 2 jobs, raised us as a family, big family. As you said, you gave a great introduction of myself, who I am, where I come from, and it's it's been quite a journey. It's been a great experience for the entire family, for myself, and I always thank this beautiful country for opening up its arms and give so many people, immigrants, the opportunity, to reach the American dream, basically, because that's what I see myself as, being the true American dream, obtaining an education here, learning a new language, new culture, and being successful as we gratefully are here in the United States. So like you said, I started Cilantro Taco Grill after studying politics, being political science major at Northern Illinois University. Did it for 7-8 years. My dad always told me, son, politics is not for you. You are too honest, too transparent, and you really want to help out and you want to make a difference. And in politics, you're never going to accomplish that. So he basically said, whatever you do in life, you're going to be successful. Why don't you choose something else? And I've always wanted to open up a taqueria, basically following. I'm very passionate about food and passionate about the food that you know that we have in Mexico, in the state of Jalisco, and that is basically taquerias, taco shops, where you go to the corner and you find great tacos, mainly steak and pastor and so on and so forth. So that's
No, but listen, that's a great story. Sometimes I wish some folks who were born here in the U.S. could listen to that and adhere to that sort of understanding of the opportunities that we have here in the country, in the USA. There are some folks out there that don't really get it, but again, another conversation for another day.
Yes.
The conversation today is about the question, and the question is, why, you can approach it any way you want. Would you launch a franchise, in the midst of a, very crowded QSR market? As I mentioned earlier, we are, Franchise Growth Solutions is a global leader in restaurant franchising, with units all over the world. So I know how crowded it is. I know how difficult it can be. So I'm curious to understand a little bit more about what your motivation was and what your thought process was, and really how you did it, so that others who are listening may be inspired and get some information.
Absolutely. So mainly when I decided that I wanted to open a fast casual taqueria or taco shop, my main goal obviously was to become a franchise one day. And so to your question, opening up in a very crowded QSR market, I know that it was going to be challenging, but I wanted to do this because I like challenge. And not only that, but I knew what I was doing, and I knew that what I wanted to do, inspired by Chipotle. I know that I wanted to be, a fast casual. I wanted to be like Chipotle, but I wanted to be more on the authentic side, the authentic Mexican taco with the onion, cilantro, and the proteins that that are most popular in the state of Jalisco. So there's a lot of taquerias. There's a lot of Mexican restaurants within our areas where we open, and we were able to continue to grow. We continue to grow. We have 15 locations, and we are working on 3 more. These are corporate locations. From there on, it's going to be franchising, and it's been challenging, but everybody has a different style of serving tacos, burritos, and tortas. And our style is very unique because it's very authentic in the way that we do it.
Well, obviously having points of differentiation on the menu side is important, but as I always tell restaurateurs, especially the ones that fail or are failing, is that it's not only about the food. It's about the guest experience, the environment, a lot of other things. So talk to me a little bit about the brand that doesn't really connect or have anything to do with the food, if you will. Like, what's the environment? What's the service piece like? What's the mission of the company?
That's also, and I forgot to mention that because service is very important to the customers. We have our employees and people that we employ. When they come and join Cilantro Taco Grill, the first thing that we mention is that you're entering a family business. And so we emphasize respect. We emphasize great service to the customer, because the customer is the one that keeps us in business. And so for us, that's really, really important. So our employees, they become part of our family. And so we treat them, we value them for who they are and what they do to the business, what they do at the business to continue to grow the family business. So that's really, really important. And so moving forward and as we grew in the family business with Cilantro Taco Grill, is that people tell other people. And so most of our employees are related to somebody in one of the locations. So they run the word and they know that they want to work for, for us, for this family, for Cilantro Taco Grill. And that's very important because that's the kind of service and the kind of respect that they'll give to the customer. And customer service is very important.
I agree. I couldn't agree more with everything that you've just said. Tell me, how did the franchise piece come about? How did that come about?
So when that was ultimately my second goal. My first goal, as you mentioned, was to have every sibling open up a location. I was able to gratefully accomplish that. And my second one was to become a franchise. From the beginning, I thought about, if I'm going to become a franchise, I got to like the logo, the colors, the name. And it seems like ever since I opened the business, people were already asking me if I was a franchise because of the logo, it's inviting, the colors and that. And so reaching out to different companies to help me launch the franchise, because when I decided that I was ready to become a franchise, I was told by many people, don't hire a company, don't hire an attorney, do it yourself. You're going to spend a lot of money. And it's what if you fail? What if
Bad advice. Very bad advice. Very bad advice.
Very, very bad. And I tell people, if you ever decide to become a franchise, there's no other way. You can't cut corners. You got to go the professional way. Even if you spend money, if you invest money, it's well worth it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I could just jump in, because that's the business we're in. We do franchise development. We do franchise sales. We do infrastructure building, private equity. It takes money, time, and patience. The whole concept of, well, I'll bootstrap it and then maybe one day I'll go on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Look, that's all in the movies. I'm a very big cynic about that. There's a certain level of reality if you're going to launch a business. Now, why do I take such an aggressive approach? Because there's too many clowns and con artists and just culprits in the franchise business. They don't recognize, and I don't want to get preachy here, but I will for a minute. They don't recognize that when they sell someone a franchise, very often that individual is either mortgaging their home or quitting their job or taking a loan. They're playing with people's lives. And then you have all these other development companies that say, well, we'll sell franchises for you. Just pay us a commission and we're going to put them all over the place. And the worst thing you can do is to build your first 10 franchises further than 20 miles from your home base. Worst thing you can do. So you're right. You're absolutely right. And whoever gave you that advice, bad advice, probably knows nothing about the franchising business, because you need professional manuals. You need an attorney to file an FDD. You're in the state of Illinois. That's a registration state. So again, they probably had no idea what they were talking about. And you got to have a professionally managed and professionally developed franchise website. So I didn't mean to jump in on you there, but I just thought that would be a great opportunity to make a great point to anybody listening who thinks if they want to franchise their business, they can somehow cut corners and not realize that they're playing with people's lives.
I couldn't agree more with you, Gary. And I knew that from the beginning, that, my second goal was to become a franchise. And if I was going to do it, I was going to do it right. So I saved. And I was ready, fully ready to hire a company. So I joined, or had an agreement. We have an agreement with FranSmart, which is a very professional franchise company. Enter an agreement with them, and then later through FranSmart, Pitbull came in the picture. CEO Dan Rowe told me, I have a little surprise for you. It's, our agreement is getting even better. You're gonna be happy with this. He says, Armando Christian Perez is very interested in your brand. He wants to help you grow. He's looking for a Latino owned franchise with the background, with history, and basically the American dream. And I said, Armando Perez. I knew Pitbull as Pitbull, not Armando Perez. So I Googled his name and I said, is this really Pitbull? So it was pretty exciting. So Fransmart said, but first he wants to meet you. He wants to get to know you. He wants to hear a little bit about you. And if you convince him, he's gonna sign an agreement with you.
Great. That's absolutely great. And I think things like that are important. Again, they certainly help with notoriety, certainly help getting people noticed. To date, like when did you launch the franchise? What month, what year?
It was this year. I believe it was April, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, April of 2023. So have you awarded any franchise units yet, and where? I'm assuming they're all in the Chicago area if you have.
No, actually, we have several prospects. We don't have one agreed yet, but we have 10 different prospects, and this is California, Texas, Florida, New Jersey, and a couple here in Illinois.
All right.
Very,
Well,
very
for our audience, then one of the questions I would have to ask again, our philosophy is different from Fransmart's. We basically keep franchises in a concentric circle. So when you launch, obviously you need to service the franchisees. What level of, and again, this would help our audience in the how and the why to launch a franchise. What is the plan to support franchisees, say in California, which is what, almost probably more than 1,000 miles away from Chicago?
So we have, throughout working with Ransomart and working on the FDD and working on becoming a franchise, at first I thought, and this is a great advice, because sometimes you feel, so a lot of people think that they have a business and they have 2-3 locations and they think they're ready to franchise. We had 13 locations at the time, and I said I'm ready to franchise. But when we started working with Fransmart, I was nowhere being ready to become a franchise. But we have learned, the family and I, we have learned a lot about becoming a franchise. About creating an FDD. All these questions like the one you just asked right now. Actually, yesterday we had a prospect, 2 partners from Orlando, Florida, who are very, very interested, and they're very interested in opening 10 locations in Orlando. And that's one of the questions that they ask. How do you plan as a franchisor? How do you plan to support us as a franchisee? And I told them, what I will tell you right now. This is all I do. This is all we do as a family. I am focused 100% on being a franchise. I'm 100% focused on supporting any and all franchisees coming as a Cilantro Taco Grill owner, whether it's in every aspect, training employees through the construction process, through any kind of training that it requires to become a Cilantro Taco Grill owner and operator and successful. Because if they're not successful, we're not going to be successful.
Well, yeah, that is the party line that we always tell people. So, what, if any, last sort of word advice can you give our audience if they're thinking about launching a franchise?
Exactly what you mentioned, and I piggybacked on, right? If you are trying to become a franchise, do not cut corners. Do not, because you will fail. There's people out there that will give you advice, but my advice is hire a professional franchise company who has a track record, who's going to help you with the FDD and the whole entire process. And definitely, most definitely hire an attorney to do all the legalities, and also obviously, trademark your name, your business name, and your slogan, and dot all the I's and cross all the T's. That's for sure.
I would again second that motion. Highly recommend that. Not because it's our business. I mean, that's what we do. We franchise companies. We sell franchises. We do all of that. So, maybe I'm a bit biased, but again, I couldn't agree with you more. You have to do it the right way. If someone wants to reach you or learn more about Cilantro Taco Grill, is there a website that they can go to?
Yes.
What do they do?
They can go directly to cilantrotacogrill.com. Right there, they'll click on that. There's going to be an icon where they click franchise, and it'll
Right.
take you right directly to the questionnaire.
Great. Okay, so simple enough. Well, we've been speaking with Temoc Morfin, who is the founder and CEO of Cilantro Taco Grill out of Chicago. Currently launched the franchise back in April of 2023. No franchisees signed yet. That's okay. They'll come. I promise you that. If you continue down a good path, they will come. If you want to reach out to him, you can see the website in the bio below. And Temoc, I want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate you being on the program and sharing the information with us in doing really a tough task, launching a franchise, a QSR franchise in a very, very crowded market, and taking it forward and gathering some momentum at this point.
Thank you very much, Gary. I really appreciate this opportunity, and happy holidays to everybody.
Yes, you too.